Here's something no one tells you about learning data skills. Most people either learn too much of the wrong stuff, learn too slowly, or don't even retain the information afterwards. They get stuck in this learning limbo, taking course after course and never feeling job ready. But what if there was a way to learn smarter and not just harder, and a way to cut through the fluff and retain what matters and accelerate your progress without burning out? Today, I'm going to cover that in this video, pulling back the curtain on how to learn with strategic speed. And this isn't about cutting corners. This is about being efficient and still effective while you're learning and learning what you need to get hired. So even if you're struggling with a full-time job, family, and barely have enough energy left after work, we're going to cover how to learn effectively so you can use the most of your time. Here's something no one tells you about learning data skills. Most people either learn too much of the wrong stuff, learn too slowly, or don't even retain the information afterwards. They get stuck in this learning limbo, taking course after course and never feeling job ready. But what if there was a way to learn smarter and not just harder, and a way to cut through the fluff and retain what matters and accelerate your progress without burning out? Today, I'm going to cover that in this video, pulling back the curtain on how to learn with strategic speed. And this isn't about cutting corners. This is about being efficient and still effective while you're learning and learning what you need to get hired. So even if you're struggling with a full-time job, family, and barely have enough energy left after work, we're going to cover how to learn effectively so you can use the most of your time. And if you're new here, my name is Jeff, and you're watching Step I of the Epic Launch System, my complete roadmap for landing your first data job, even if you're just starting from scratch. If you missed previous steps, no worries. You can watch this video now and then dive into the playlist to catch up on any videos later. I've been in data analytics when I first became a temp data entry worker 15 years ago, eventually became and got promoted to the data analyst position. And now I'm a business analyst consultant at a Fortune 5 company. I've also been on the hiring side, and I know that the job market is tough, so I know what it takes to stand out. So I'm on a mission to help 10,000 people break into data analytics. And if that's your goal, hit that subscribe button, because I'm here to help you every step of the way. So for strategic learning, you need to understand the why before the how. Most people approach learning data analytics without a plan or a strategy, so they end up just wasting time. They either learn random skills in a random order with no real destination in mind. So think about it. You wouldn't learn every tool inside a toolbox, a carpenter shop, before you even knew what type of job or thing that you were building. Whether you're going to build a birdhouse to a skyscraper, you have to have specific tools that you're going to be using for each that wouldn't apply to the others. So you need to learn the specific tools for the job or your goal that you have scoped out and that you have in mind. So this is why we created the portfolio plan in the last step, so that you have a tangible end goal based on the open jobs in your area. This dramatically cuts down on wasted time and eliminates decision fatigue, so it supercharges your motivation because you immediately can see the why behind the what. And that's what we did. We mapped out your portfolio plan in step P, so you have a clearer idea of what tools and skills you need to learn based on the open jobs that you could apply to that are entry level. The next step now is to figure out how you're going to learn them. And then at this point, you have a few options. Option one is free learning. So think YouTube, blogs, free documentation. You can absolutely go the free route. YouTube has amazing tutorials, blogs, and free documentation from the various tools that can go deep. The upside is going to be free and flexible. The downside is that you're going to need more self-discipline to stitch everything together into a cohesive learning plan. And if you're in a more competitive job market, you'll be competing against people who have paid for boot camps, professional certifications, and also recognized data learning platforms. So you either have to have great experience and achievements through your current job, or through helping businesses like we talked about in a previous video, or have an internal reference. Usually hiring managers aren't strict with internal references if the employee they trust that's referring them can vouch for them internally for their skill set. And then in these cases, it makes more sense to go the free route, Your next option is option two, which is using a structured platform or going through a certification program. Even then, personally, what I would do is I'd still invest in a platform or certification because that's what I've done. Regardless of the problem that I needed, I'd either buy books, I'd buy a course, or I went through college just to solve specific problems to get further in my career or just solve any specific problem. So if I were starting out today, I'd want something more structured to help me build momentum and then also keep my learning momentum going. This is the route I'd take if I was starting over, and I personally choose DataCamp as a beginner. In preparation for this video, what I actually did was I went through learning as if I were a beginner again to test out the techniques in this video. And the other night, I was waiting to get seated at a restaurant with my wife's family. And then I pulled out my phone, opened the DataCamp app, and then started working through their intermediate SQL course. Was able to learn conveniently and complete a few courses before we got seated. So that is just one of those things that I would rather have the convenience and structured convenience so that I don't have to worry about like trying to cobble things together. And some websites just don't look good in mobile. That's just one of those things. Simplicity, accessibility, and convenience that I wish I had when I was first starting out a long time ago. And if you're already working through a certification on Coursera, edX, or Google, great, stick with it. If you're already on another platform like Code Academy or DataQuest, stick with that as well. But if you're still deciding, DataCamp has a new June offer where they have 50% off of their annual plan right now through until July 3rd. And to put this in the context, I've paid more for my books in college for a single class to learn things that I've never used in my future job. Also, it helps support the channel if you do upgrade later at no extra cost to you. And I personally bought DataCamp before ever becoming an affiliate. You can also try it free and see if you like it too, and then see if it makes sense to upgrade. Regardless of what learning strategy or platform that you pick, choose one where you enjoy learning on so that you can keep at it for the long term until you get hired in your first data analytics role. You want to ask yourself questions like, what kind of learner am I? What keeps me consistent? Does this make learning easier and more enjoyable? And then after, choose the strategy that fits you, not just the one that looks good on paper or the one that I'm recommending. Be there and experiment with a lot of things and then settle on the one that makes the most sense for you. Now, how do we get through your chosen learning platform or strategy with strategic speed? Here are my 4 strategies that will help you learn more effectively and efficiently with better retention. The first one is going to be, you want to focus on concepts, not just syntax. This is like a big picture strategy. So one of the things you don't want to do is just memorize lines of code, formulas. You want to understand why. For example, in SQL, it's not just enough to know the join syntax and the join keyword. You need to understand why you're going to use a left join versus an inner join and what problem each of them solves for the business. And this is where AI is going to become your secret weapon for accelerated understanding. It's like having a personal tutor on demand. So let me give you a personal example. I used to struggle fully grasping the complex mechanics of macro finance, like things like how central banks refinance debt, the nuances of quantitative easing, and YouTube's videos would give me good surface level understanding, but I kept running into concepts and terms that just went over my head. My hack and how I learned it on a deeper level was I immediately open ChatGPT and start a conversation. I have it explain to me the concepts in simpler terms, compare different ideas, and then even break down the mechanics of, say, how inflation really impacts interest rates and how that will in fact risk assets. Then I drill down and ask follow-up questions until it made sense to me. What became a game changer for retention for me is then I would explain my understanding back to ChatGPT or back to Gemini. The AI would act as my intelligent mentor, and then it would tell me if I was correct or almost there or completely off track. And then it would guide me to the correct understanding. Basically, I just asked ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever chatbot that you're going to be using just to explain it to me. I treat them like they're my mentor at work, and then I just keep asking follow-up questions until I understand it. So prompting here doesn't have to be advanced. Things that you can just have is just explain this to me like I was 5 years old, and then you insert the text that you're confused about. Explain to me the difference between this concept and this concept, and then you can put the output format that you want, like in an executive report, like a thesis for a graduate program. Put anything in the level of detail that you need. Other things that you can do, if I'm just confused, I'll just say, this text from my data camp course is not clear. Then you paste that text. Can you please rephrase it or explain it to me in more simpler detail? And then if you want to test your understanding, what I do is confirm if I understand this correctly. And then I would insert what I'm learning and what I've been chatting about. Does it mean this? And then I would put it into my own words in the explanation. Is that right? Second strategy is going to be practice relentlessly, but only where it counts. So these courses aren't going to be Netflix. You're not here to just watch. You're here to train. So every hands-on exercise is going to be like a rep in the gym. This is where your knowledge turns into muscle memory, the kind that actually sticks with you when you're on the job or when you're on an interview. And for the record, I still do all the exercises in a course. I don't skip those. I still believe there's benefits, even from me revisiting these courses, to revisiting the fundamentals, practicing the fundamentals from time to time. But I don't generate extra practice tasks with AI unless I'm struggling with a concept or need to reinforce something specific. If I'm working through the SQL joins, I get it, I understand it because I've done it so much, then I move on. But if I hit something new that I didn't experience before, I'm going to hit pause, replay it, and even ask AI to give me a couple extra practice questions to make sure that it sinks in, or exercises. Also, if this is related to a required skill or tool in my project, my portfolio project that we talked about in the previous video, then I'm also going to cement this and then ask AI to explain it in a way that applies to my portfolio project. I'm not going to be doing everything. I'm just going to be doing everything to make sure that it sinks in for me. So I'm not just going to be doing like homework for the homework's sake, like when you think about it, but I'm just trying to close the gaps that I have within my skill set. And then 3 is to leverage AI as your personal practical tutor and debugger. We're also going to use AI for in-depth practical applications. So one of the ways that you can do this is error explainer. When you inevitably hit an error, and trust me, you're going to hit errors, instead of just copying and pasting the solution from Stack Overflow or wherever you searched it from, you want to paste your error message and code and prompt into AI and then ask, I'm getting this error, paste the error in, here is my code, or here is the question and exercise that I have inside DataCamp or your platform. Can you please explain why this error is happening and what are the common mistakes that led to it? Don't give me the solution directly, just help me understand. So what this is going to do is it helps you learn how to debug conceptually, which is going to be a critical skill that you're going to need as an analyst. And also in my personal testing, I stopped using ChatGPT for this specifically. Gemini has been better significantly for troubleshooting than off of my just screenshots. So like if I was going through his data camp and I ran into something, or I was just testing, pretending to run into something, I could just take a screenshot of the full page and then send it into Gemini, and Gemini would accurately know what the issue was and then teach me in detail what I was wrong. When I did this in ChatGPT, it was struggling immensely and couldn't analyze the screenshot, and then it gave me what it thought I was trying to ask, which was incorrect. That's with the free version of the Gemini. So free version of the Gemini will help you with those types of questions. So highly suggest using Gemini. When I'm working with ChatGPT to work on lines of code, new functions and things I'm building, and then when it introduces something that I'm not familiar with, what I'll have it do is I'll ask ChatGPT to break down each line of code, explaining it to me in new detail, especially, and then I'll insert that line. And then it'll go through, explain all the code and the reasoning behind it. And then if I'm still confused or I don't know why ChatGPT chose this over, say, another function, then I would ask ChatGPT that specifically. So this is, even today, I'm still learning because AI has just been significantly making me more productive at work, that this is just one of those things that I don't want to get left behind, so I can keep increasing my skill set and scaling higher as AI makes me better. And then the 4th practical application that I've been using it for is a summarizer that I either use for notes or an entire lecture, or even like big lectures of videos. This is what I've been using it for. And I take data camps, I've taken a bunch of other ways. So what I do here is I just say, summarize the key concepts from this text about, and then insert whatever the topic is about. I put this into Notion so that anything that I'm learning, I can just easily reference so I don't forget it for the future. For this, you want to remember the goal isn't for AI to do the work for you, it's to help you learn faster and understand at a deeper level. And then a fourth strategy to learn fast is you're going to build your cheat sheet for your analyst notebook. As you go through your learning, you're going to create your own personalized cheat sheet or analyst notebook, or your own personal analyst Wikipedia, which is not just about copying, but it's summarizing key syntax, common functions, important concepts, and even tricky errors you've debugged in your own words, especially if it's related to skills and the tools that are needed for your portfolio projects. I've used countless note-taking apps over the years, but hands down, Notion is the best. I've just been using the free version. It helps you create organized databases for different tools, pages. I honestly have my own like personalized Wikipedia for everything to be organized, and it just makes it significantly easier. It becomes your own personal searchable knowledge base that grows with you. And AI can help you draft those summaries for this Notion page and Notion database, Wikipedia that you're building so that you have it as you grow. Again, if you're looking for a structured platform as a beginner, I suggest DataCamp. If that sounds like the right path for you to kick your strategic learning, you can try it completely for free. Link in the description below. It's a fantastic way to get started and build momentum. In the next video, we're going to dive into step C, is create projects that prove you can do the job. You've planned smart, you've learned strategically, and now let's build the undeniable proof that helps you get hired. And if you missed any of the previous videos in this video series, watch this playlist now to catch up. And then until then, query responsibly, and then watch this video here. Play this.